I'm feeling pretty patriotic today. So, why don't we read the preamble to the American Constitution? Here we go. We, the people of the Republic of America, formerly known as the United States, in order to form a more perfect union among us, to establish justice for each person equally, regardless of age, race, country of origin, gender, economic status, religion, or sexual orientation, to defend each person's right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness according to each individual's desire of happiness, to promote the general welfare of each person according to each person's individual needs, to protect each person's right to vote for those who enact the laws that govern them and to protect their rights, to guarantee and promote domestic and foreign tranquility, and finally, to secure and defend those liberties for each of us and our posterity, and for any person who exists among us, and for any person that will ever exist among us, we the people do ordain and establish this Constitution for the united people of the Republic of America as the principles and standards upon which we stand united. Actually, that's not the real preamble. That's the preamble to the proposed Constitution that the Humanity Party wants to bring into law. It's 21 pages long, and it's a piece of shit. I just thought I'd bring that up as soon as possible. I actually spent 2.5 hours on March 13th, 2016 reading through this bullshit. And let me tell you how I found this. Actually, it was through Anonymous, of all things. And let me tell you how this happened. So, yesterday I was browsing through my subscription box when I saw that the official Anonymous channel posted a video called Vote for Anonymous 2016. Okay, that seems legit enough. Let's check it out. Basically, it's a 20-minute video advertising some alternate party who has no candidate, and apparently you vote for them by writing anonymous in your voting box. How that works is beyond me, because I'm 15, I don't know shit about voting, but yeah. Their whole shtick is that they claim that the current constitution is flawed beyond belief, and they want to instill this new constitution, which is even shittier than they claim the current one is. And I won't waste your time going through every little word. So I decided to print it out and highlight the most important parts that are against the current constitution. Besides the fact that it's illegal to change the constitution in any way other than amendments, as far as I'm aware, or executive action or court orders, but I digress. It's, like I said, it's 21 pages long, and on the website they offer a download to a PDF. And that PDF is locked. So I had to go on the website where they were showing the full text of said constitution, print out every single word in a Word document, and then I went through and highlighted it over the span of 2 hours. And shout out to Grant for standing with me for that 20 minutes before he fell asleep with me reading it to him. So let's go ahead and read through the first part of this constitution that I find bullshit. This is actually on the second paragraph, and the specific line is, "We stand united in the conviction that our former Constitution was created and established at a different time, under different circumstances, with different intents and purposes that are no longer relevant in securing liberty and justice for all people equally." So they're basically saying that because it was written in 1789, we can't have it apply today because, we'd rather have the socialist or Communist Manifesto be our ruling book, which only lasted a little less than 90 years. We should also have the Nazi Constitution, which actually lasted 12 years, because that's so much more relevant, and they were also written at a much later time than the current US Constitution. But guys, it's old, so we can't use it. So next, it goes over the powers of the government in the first article. In section 111, Congressional immunity from civil suits and harassment, which says, "Congressional representatives shall in all cases except treason, felony, breach of the peace, or violation of any of this Constitution's articles, or those of a personal nature involving domestic issues, be privileged from legal process, service, or arrest during their attendance at the session of their respective houses, and in going to and returning from the same, and for any speech or debate in either house, they shall not be questioned in any other place by any other person or authority outside of those appointed by this Constitution." Now, as far as I understand, no private person can sue your congressman or senator for anything except treason, felony, breach of the peace, etc., etc. But here's my question. Who decides what counts as treason, felony, breach of the peace, or anything else that this says? that's one inconsistency with this Constitution, because this Constitution is very inconsistent and it's basically like a circular logic wheel. 113. Congressional website for complete transparency. Such website shall provide full transparency of all congressional actions and activities, except those that might impede or affect national security as Congress may determine and prescribe with the concurrence of the President. Here's the thing. What's the point of having complete transparency if they're not going to actually enforce said transparency? You can't have transparency with an asterisk, because that's not how that works. You can either have complete transparency or you have nothing. Section 2.1. So this is where it talks about removing what is known to us as states and replacing them with districts. You know, because the Hunger Games is a perfect example of how to govern your country, but I digress. So anyway, they're considering dividing the states into 50 districts instead of states, and every district boundary is going to be redefined every 4 years by an automatic digital boundary definition, and that says that it's going to be defined by the number of registered voters and concomitant to their physical proximity according to Article 5 of this Constitution. So as I understand it, they're going to be defined by how many voters they have and how close they are to each other or something like that. I'm not sure. Someone please correct me if I'm wrong. Someone just write a huge article in the comments correcting me on anything if I'm incorrect on something. And I apologize in advance if I am incorrect, because with my limited knowledge of how government works, I don't think I'm the best person to talk about this, but I haven't seen anyone else talk about this, so I might as well. Section 4, the Senate. Judgment in cases of impeachment shall not extend further than reprimand and censure. It shall not include removal from office. Keep that in mind, because later that's going to come back up again. And censure is basically a slap on the wrist. So if you're impeached, you basically get a slap on the wrist, which is perfectly the same thing as Obama getting kicked out of office. Section 4.4, removal from office of the impeached. Upon impeachment and conviction by judicial trial, the people of the convicted members' district shall hold the exclusive power to elect such member's replacement during a legally convened election according to the power of Congress to call such election. The majority vote of the people of the Republic during a legally held election shall be the only power that can replace any member, president, or judicial office in the event of impeachment by Congress and conviction by judicial trial. So, they're not going to get kicked out until someone elects them out. Why not just kick them out automatically? Like, that's so stupid, honestly. Congressional pay. Congress shall be paid an annual salary at a rate of 2 times of the average annual income of the people of the Republic and paid out of the Treasury of the Republic. You know, for someone who's advocating right out of Anonymous, this seems like they're supporting the 1% instead of being against it. And on top of that, who the hell is going to pay for this salary? Like, people's salaries come from taxes, but a lot of what this is going for is saying that citizens don't have to pay taxes. So, what's the point? Section 9, Powers of Congress, creating electronic currency, the elimination of a cash-based economy. This is basically saying that it's illegal for Congress to make or print physical paper or coin money. Which, you know, that's pretty much what we're moving to, but it shouldn't be illegal for people to pay through paper money, because that's just messed up. Like, what if someone's credit card is hacked? What happens then? Section 8, power to establish one federal law enforcement agency. This agency will have the necessary authorities and rights to protect and execute the laws of the Republic and this Constitution, to determine a just punishment for any citizen of the Republic or any foreign person who violates any law within the boundaries of the Republic. Congress shall pass no law granting immunity from punishment to any person for any reason at any time. But aren't senators immune from laws? And also, isn't this one federal law enforcement agency kind of like Hitler's secret police? Subsection 9, power to allow other nations to become part of the Republic of America. So basically, this is advocating for a new world order, if I'm not mistaken. Basically, this is saying that any application is submitted to be part of the Republic must be made to Congress by the voice of the majority of that foreign people through legal and congressionally verified election results. I think it's saying that they have to vote it in their country, and then I'm assuming that we're going to have to vote it in hours to let it in. Article 2, the executive branch. Section 1, the president, basically it says that there are no term limits for the office of the president. You know, we're regressing back to pre-1947 laws. Then it says that the president is going to elect a vice president during the initial campaign for his office, you know, during the debates. And then any time after that, the president can replace the vice president, you know, because that's not inconvenient at all, and that can't be abused at all. Section 1.5. Executive compensation. The president shall receive for that person's services a compensation equal to twice the amount allowed by law for members of Congress, or in other words, 4 times of the regular person's wages. On top of that, for each period of 4 years which that person is re-elected as president, that person shall receive a 25% increase for each subsequent 4-year term, bankrupting the country further. Section 2, powers of the presidents. Every presidential candidate now should have a good foreign policy plan, but this says that the president doesn't have the power to ratify agreements as law, basically saying that the president is a puppet for Congress, as far as I'm aware. Section 3, executive transparency. This is basically the same thing, except requires secrecy in the interest of the republic's security, which again, what's the point of having a website for transparency if you're not going to release every single thing that you're going to talk about? Section 4, disqualification. The president, vice president, and all civil officers appointed by executive order shall be removed from office upon that person's conviction of treason, bribery, or any other felony crime or any inaction that violates the laws and provisions for the people established by this Constitution. Article 3, the judicial branch. The compensation of judges is equal to that of Congress, which is two times, plus 10% during their re-election. So if a judge is elected 1 year and then gets re-elected, every time he gets re-elected, he gets an extra 10% pay from that 2% every time the guy is re-elected, from that 2 times. Section 2.2, officers of the court. No officer of the court or those who serve in any other capacity of the court at any time shall receive for that person's compensation more than 10 times the hourly rate of the legal minimum wage for the power of the republic that is set in law by Congress. Basically, these people can get more than the president because they can't get any more than 10 times, but that means 10 times is that much more than the common person. Here we're going to Article 4, which is inalienable human rights. Congress shall have no power in any way to amend or restrain this article. Presidential duties, which is to provide a yearly budget to Congress specifically addressing the monetary means needed to fulfill this article. Here's the thing though, nowhere in this Constitution does it show where they're going to find the money to pay Congress to fulfill the basic human needs and all that. And then there's the protection of the law enforcement and military to enforce this article. Right to the basic physical and emotional necessities of life. Basic necessities are described as free from charge or debt, nutritious food, comprehensive health care including mental care, safe and secure housing and utilities, basic clothing, and public education from an elementary level, including 4 years at any accredited university. Here's the thing. Again, where does the money come from? Who decides what and who qualifies as any of the highlighted things? And wasn't Obamacare supposed to be comprehensive? You know, because we all know that was perfect. Obamacare is just the best system anyone can come up with, and that's comprehensive. Immigrant rights and responsibilities. Until legal citizenship is granted, all such persons entering the Republic shall be required to carry a Republic-issued visa, which shall include genetic identification registration as established by Congress. You know, because the Jews weren't supposed to carry special identification badges, and under Trump's plan, Muslims are supposed to carry special identification badges, so I don't know, take that as you will. Provisions of citizenship. Basically, this is saying that if an illegal immigrant comes to this republic and they're found out, they're allowed to meet the provisions that make them a legal citizen within a 1-year time limit, and if they don't, they're going to get a safe, secure, and free passage back to the country of that person's origin. Again, who the fuck funds this shit? Where does the money come from? On top of that, a person who fails to secure employment within 1 year and who returns to the country of that person's origin, they can't come back for a temporary visa for 5 consecutive years unless their life is threatened back in their home country. This doesn't define endangered or threatened, so please define. Section 4. Right to protection by law enforcement agencies and the armed forces. One law enforcement agency. This agency shall incorporate and assimilate into its single force and supervision the current Federal Bureau of Investigation, the CIA, the Homeland Security, the Secret Service, state, local, and any other branch of law enforcement that exists and was established outside the single entity provided by this Constitution. Hello, big brother! Didn't expect to see you in America anytime soon. Use of lethal and non-lethal weapons by law enforcement personnel. Each law enforcement personnel, as prescribed by Congress, shall be armed with two forms of weapons, one lethal and one non-lethal. Congress shall outline the specific guidelines for the use of non-lethal and lethal weapons to subdue a person. Each officer shall be required to wear a uniform-mounted video camera at all times while on duty. Any officer who does not record the event of that officer's interaction with any person, unless the ability to do so is inhibited in any way by that person, that officer's actions, or that person's, shall not be admissible as evidence against that person in a court of law. What defines as inhibited? Because assuming Black Lives Matter's claims of officers claiming that their lives were threatened, that could count as inhibited. So what if they actually did something bad and then proceeded to claim that that's why you can't use this in court? What if said officer, or should I say American brown shirt, did actually commit an act of police brutality, and then goes on to claim that their life was in danger? What happens then? Section 5, right to bear arms. This is my favorite one. No person shall have the right to bear arms except those authorized by law to do so under Section 4 of this article. The right to bear arms shall be strictly prohibited except as authorized by Congress. The people shall have the right to bear arms for sport or entertainment exclusively under the supervision of armories and weapon facilities as determined and established by Congress. It's at this point, which I know that's kind of late for me to point out, but it's at this point where I realized that this was like, if there's anything beyond radical leftist propaganda, this is it. This is beyond radical leftist propaganda. And you know, I'm a pretty left-wing person according to Political Compass, but I hate the left and I hate the right, and even I know that this is fucking bullshit. Basically, you don't have any gun rights. Huh. Remember that fucking Second Amendment that nobody uses that? Nobody's standing in lines at gun shows to buy guns and stockpiles just in case some really fucked up gun control law happens. Nobody needs that shit. Manufacture and distribution of weapons. It shall be strictly prohibited for any person or entity to manufacture or distribute any weapon or any of its ammunition of any kind, except as authorized by Congress for the sake of law enforcement, the sake of the military, or the sake of personal sport as authorized by Congress. Guys, I don't know, I'm not trying to make any points here, but I'm just saying, Hitler disarmed his people, and so did Stalin. And Obama is trying to disarm us. You know, I'm not saying anything. I'm just pointing that out. Weapons importation. The importation of any weapon into the Republic without congressional approval shall be considered an act of war or treason against the people of the Republic by the person or entity that initiated or performed the act. You know, because self-defense using guns is never okay. I mean, the safety locks and the gun safes that we have, that shit's not safe. We just shouldn't have guns at all. Like, it's okay if a madman buys a gun and shoots up a school, because that just means we need more gun laws. Section 6. Right to personal information privacy. Right to privacy. Each person shall have the right to privacy of their personal information except that information that is deemed necessary in the enforcement of the laws provided by this Constitution. Basically, hello, Big Brother. Database of personal information for law enforcement. Law enforcement agencies shall be restricted in the publication of a person's personal information to a database specifically designed for the protection of the people of this republic and this Constitution. You know, I can actually agree with this. I don't think the NSA needs this whole fucking personal information database on everyone's phone calls or whatever. Section 7. Right of belief, expression, in the media. Congress shall establish laws that protect each person's right to act, to be acted upon, to believe and express opinion, where that action, belief, or expression of opinion does not affect, extend upon to, or impede another person's right to act, to be acted upon, to believe, or to express opinion. So basically this is social justice. You can say shit as long as it doesn't offend anybody. Search and seizure. Congress shall make no laws that permit the search and seizure of personal property, unless by such prohibition the life, liberty, or personal property of another is threatened in any other way or time. See, here's the problem with this. What if someone like, say, Lori Penny, claims that their life is in danger because someone's not giving her the access to Twitter or some shit. Does that mean that Congress has to immediately seize the computer from the person who isn't doing shit to her and automatically give it to her? What if that happens? Article 5, voting rights. Each person who has attained the age of 21 and who resides in the Republic of America, regardless of race, country of origin, gender, economic status, religion, sexual persuasion, or criminal history, shall possess the right to vote. First of all, it's legal under the 26th Amendment to restrict anyone under 21 to vote. And criminal history, what if they commit voter fraud? Do they still get to vote then? Because this doesn't say shit about that. And finally, Article 6, adoption of this Constitution. This Constitution shall be adopted by majority vote of the people. Whereas the current United States Constitution does not allow its own invalidation, the people, by voting during the regular and legal elections and by writing in anonymous instead of voting for any registered candidate for this office, unless such candidate campaigns in support of this Constitution, shall invalidate the Constitution of the United States, and by the voice of the majority of their votes ratify this Constitution for the Republic of America, or, as set forth in the current Constitution of the United States, 2/3 of Congress adopts and ratifies this Constitution. This Constitution shall not be amended except by majority vote of the people. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. But, in my opinion, we should burn this. And I swear to God, if this gets elected, America is turning into a Fourth Reich.